The idiotic and insightful investigations of Detective Ebenezer Maisonette. The Scandal of the Scarlet Seals. Written by Jamie A. Marsh. Read by Gregory Dwyer. Mr. Farley, I must confess I never imagined seeking the help of your companion would lead me into such a tangled web of deception and danger. But now that it has been long enough since the events, I find myself at liberty to give you my story regarding the Scandal of the Scarlet Seals. I came to Tennant Street straight from the side of my employer, who sent me for Detective Ebenezer Maisonette's services immediately. I was greeted at the door by a young boy who took my hat and coat and told me to wait while he went upstairs. Unexpectedly, Maisonette and his companion Farley came back down to greet me. "Sorry, old chap, but we have somewhere to be. Could you call back tomorrow?" said the detective, while placing his striking top hat on. "Well, no, actually. My employer demands your assistance immediately," I replied. It was very important to me to get his attention. The corridor was small and tight, so they both squeezed past me in the most awkward manner to get to the front door. "And who is your employer?" he asked as he opened the front door to leave. "I can't tell you. He wishes to stay anonymous." Maisonette laughed at this and stepped out into the street. I could still hear him laughing as he continued down the steps. I caught Farley's arm before he could join them. "He will pay handsomely for the service, I'm assured." Farley's eyes lit up at this statement, and he leaned in to know more. "Pray, tell me more." "Farley, come on," cried his companion from outside. "You can find us at the Raven House Club later this evening. I can talk to you then." "I didn't know you were members." Farley said no reply to me and left. Later that day I found myself at the doors of the Raven House Club. This is an exclusive members-only club, and that is why I was stopped on the door by a posh thin man in tails. He had a tight-lipped French accent that felt like he looked down on me with every word. "Sir, are you a member of this club?" "Well, no, but—" "Then you can't come in. Please vacate the premises," he interrupted. "Ah, but I'm here to see Mr. Farley." The man suddenly burst out in a flamboyant laugh. He threw back his head in excitement. "Did you hear that, John?" he cackled. And another older man shuffled in. "This man is here to see Mr. Farley, so he wants to come in." Now they both started laughing, and I was left very confused by the situation. "Is Detective Ebenezer Maisonette here?" I asked loudly so they could hear me. They suddenly stopped laughing and became completely serious again. The doorman brushed back his hair. "Are you a client?" "Yes, I am." "Then follow me." He then took me through the club. Inside was lined with wooden panelling, and the air filled with smoke. This was a men-only club, and everyone was in their best dinner suits. Well, except the detective, who hadn't changed from the morning I met him. He was chuckling to another gentleman. "A client to see you," said the doorman. "Very good. I will meet him in the drawing-room," said he. Finally, I was sat down with Maisonette. "You are a persistent fellow, aren't you?" he started. "I was told I could find you and Mr. Farley here. Is he around?" "Farley is here. Would you like a glass of whiskey?" "Oh, if it's going." Maisonette rang the little bell on the wall next to his seat, and unexpectedly to me, Farley came in with a decanter and glasses. He placed them down on the table between us. I poured out the 2 glasses provided. "Wouldn't you like a drink too, Farley?" I asked politely. "Not while he's working, he can't," Maisonette replied for him. "I work at the club serving drinks to the members," said Farley shamefully. "Somebody has to bring the money in. Off you go, then. I'm sure you have other people to serve." Maisonette gestured to the door, and Farley left us. "I got a free membership for life once I solved the murder of the chairman's wife. They don't know I have an association with Farley." I wasn't quite sure how to respond directly to this, so I thought it best to carry on with the reason I was there. My employer is an important man, but recently he has been completely shaken by a series of events that I will put forward to you now. Last month I brought a letter to him in his office. It had a strange scarlet wax seal on it, but I thought nothing of it at the time. As soon as he saw the seal, he jumped up from his chair and dropped the letter. He was scared stiff. I had to calm his nerves over the rest of the afternoon in order to return him home to his wife. "Can you describe the seal?" Maisonette asked. "I can do better," said I, getting out that first letter from my pocket and handing it over. "You can see the seal depicts a serpent wrapped around a knife." "No stamp." Maisonette opened the letter. The writing inside was written in red ink. "I know the words to that dreadful letter without looking. They are forever imprinted onto my soul. You will receive 3 seals. The first will reveal a secret of your heart. The second will bring the end of a friendship. The third will be your end." The thought of the letter still left a shiver down my spine. I took my whisky for a sip. I was able to convince him that it was just an elaborate prank, and he returned to work the next day. We thought nothing of this matter for the following days until another letter arrived for him with the same scarlet wax seal. This time I decided not to give him the letter and read it myself, worried that it would cause him more ill health. But I tell you, with complete honesty, when I say nothing was written inside this letter, it was just a blank piece of paper. "The point was already made in the first," Maisonette added. "Pray continue." "I shouldn't have hidden this second letter from him, as it was only that week when it was discovered that my employer had a romantic escapade with a married woman a year prior, in the form of secret letters. I had to then inform him of the letter I had hidden. He was angry with me, which I expected, but I had been his right-hand man for so long he didn't let me go. I am very lucky to be in his employment. The scandal was talked about all through—" I hesitated to make sure I didn't give away the identity of my employer. I remember distinctly Maisonette giving me a direct, quizzical look at this pause. "All through the officers, but fortunately they were able to keep it from going any further. This meant my employer was not asked to resign." "Stop insulting my vast intellect and call him by his title, the Earl of Dorrington, who currently holds a cabinet position in government." I was most perturbed by his knowledge. It was made very clear to me by the Earl not to reveal his identity. The detective seemed calm in the situation, as he was writing on a piece of paper as he spoke. "I can see you are surprised and worried about me working out who your employer is, but you need not be anxious. I can be discreet." He paused and fixed his bow tie. "Hey, Farley, you never guess who we got here," he shouted. "Sir!" I ejaculated. "Please!" Farley came into the room quickly. "You called?" He was out of breath from the quick entrance. "No worries. Could you retrieve the book I have written down here?" He took the note from him and left as quickly as he had come. Maisonette sat back in his seat. So I continued. The Earl didn't sleep easily from that point onward, for he knew that if another seal came to him, he would have further truths revealed about himself. He became erratic, twitching in his office, falling asleep at his desk. He wasn't himself right up until the day came and another letter arrived with the dreaded scarlet seal. I brought it straight to him this time, and he screamed. He screamed so loudly, like he had seen a ghost or a phantom. The Earl sobbed in the corner of his office all day. In the end, his wife had to take him home and nurse him. He hasn't come back to work since. But that did it. He had to cancel all his social events from that point onwards, and so the second seal's fate was achieved, and he lost friends to his health. Maisonette got up and walked over to a bookshelf. "You said the first time he received a seal he had a similar reaction to it, dropping it on his desk?" he asked. "Yes, he did." "Have you ever asked him what the symbol on the seals meant?" "I never thought about it." "Of course you didn't." Maisonette sneered while taking out a book from the shelf. I have a feeling I recognise it. This man would have gone to Eton and probably Cambridge or Oxford, so would have a working knowledge of society stamps." The detective continued to turn the pages of the book as he spoke. He then excitedly spread the book out on the table in front of me. "You see, a serpent wrapped around a knife in the traditional symbol of a certain gentleman's society, to be given as a threat upon another man's life." He was completely right. The symbol in the book matched that of the seals. Maisonette snapped the book shut and placed it back on the shelf. "Has he received the third seal?" he asked. "Not as yet. That is why I am here. The third was written to bring about his end. The Earl and his family are sick with worry, and so they beg for you to shine light on this matter." The detective stood and stroked his moustache for a very long time. I wasn't sure if I should disturb him, but he seemed to be stuck in this continuous motion. Farley then re-entered with a small book, which reactivated the detective. Flicking straight to the back few pages, he held them up to the candlelight. "Do you have the second letter? The one with the blank page and just the wax seal?" "Yes, I do." I got it out of my pocket, and he snatched it from my hand excitedly. He started to write frantically across the page. Maisonette was just too far away from me to see what he was writing. I watched him carefully, slightly heating the back of the wax seal so as to be able to use it again and reseal the letter. He outstretched his hand dramatically toward me with the letter to take. "Deliver this letter to the Chancellor in the morning, and you can tell the Earl that he will never receive his third seal, and he can continue putting forward his proposed bill as planned." The very next morning I did as he said, and delivered the letter with the scarlet seal to the Chancellor. He immediately turned a shade of white, unlike anything I had seen before. Opening the letter with shaking hands, he read the contents and fell back into his chair. I called for some help, and he was quickly assisted. That was the last time I saw the Chancellor, as he resigned under what was described as personal circumstances. The Earl returned to his post in the knowledge that I had assured him he was safe from any more threats. I didn't hear from Maisonette again. I suppose he was content that he had fulfilled his job and solved our mystery. However, a month or so later I did get a visit from Farley. "Good morning," said he. "It has been a while since I saw you last, and I just wondered whether that handsome fee you mentioned was still being offered for the service Maisonette provided." I know the Earl was more than obliged to pay Maisonette for what he described as the miracle that saved his life, so I called for his presence. The Earl entered the room and shook Farley's hand with excitement. We all sat down. "Detective Maisonette didn't come with you?" he asked. "Not today. He's busy on another case," Farley replied. "So, about the payment." "Oh, yes," said he, rising from his chair and going to the safe in the corner of his office. He took out a bundle of notes and went to hand them to Farley, who was beaming in delight when he held them back and sat in his seat again. Unbuttoning his jacket, he relaxed in his seat. "First, would you kindly tell me how the detective managed to solve my mystery? It has been perplexing me ever since." "I thought you might say this, so I persuaded Maisonette to write down his reply for you." Farley reached over with a sealed letter for the Earl. It was a wax seal, and the Earl turned it over with caution, but it only contained the letter M. He thought it would be amusing to seal it for you with his own wax seal, added Farley. "Dear Earl of Dorrington, it has been brought to my attention that you may be wondering how I was able to deduce and solve the puzzle that your man brought to me last month. I would be pleased to tell you how I worked it all out. It was simple to deduce who you were, just from the story being shared. But I also deduced his identity from the fact that he wore a distinctive three-piece suit of a man who worked in Parliament. The fact that he brought the matter to me on behalf of another man meant you were someone of high standing in society. Lastly, he had the distinctive factory soot on his hat from a bottle factory, and only you, the Earl of Dorrington, owns one of those." But how did I know it was the Chancellor, I hear you cry? Well, I suspected it was someone who would oppose the bill you wanted to implement for factory workers' safety, something you have been advocating for and put into practice with your own workforce. Keeping up with politics, I could narrow down the selection to 3 men, the MP for Gloucester, the MP for Flydale North, and, of course, the Chancellor. Considering the letters came without a stamp, I knew they had to come from someone inside the cabinet, and so I could guess our man. I put the theory to the test first by asking Farley for a copy of the Chancellor's book. I was aware that the inside had a handwritten passage regarding his connection to Cromwell. This meant I could compare the handwriting of the letter to the book. He has a distinctive flourish to the end of the letter S and an extra loop on the O's. This confirmed to me that if I were to redirect one of these letters to him, revealing the truth of what he had done, then he would be sure to stop his attack on your character for political gain. I am aware that Farley is probably getting me to write this in order to ask for a payment for my services, but I must decline, as I don't do this job for financial gain. Please keep your money. I am glad to have been of assistance to you. Detective Ebenezer Maisonette. Farley then left us, particularly disgruntled by the whole affair. He couldn't convince the Earl to still pay after the letter, and so he left empty-handed. I do feel bad for Farley. I wonder sometimes how long it will be before he has had enough of his companion and does something extreme to get away from it all. I do hope it never comes to that.
Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to help bring Detective Ebenezer Maisonette's next on-screen adventure to life, please check out our GoFundMe for the upcoming short film featuring him. And if you want to explore even more of his world, the book version is now available on Kindle and Amazon. Thanks again for being with us. We can't wait to share more soon.